Hello everybody and welcome to this new video. This video will be 10 reasons to fail a job interview and by March 2024. This is going a little bit more into generalization of the things that I've mentioned also in my previous videos, but this kind of like a concluding way of job search and those reasons. Some of them can be worked on, some of them cannot be worked on. But yeah, in this video I also was showing a lot of photos. So I'm like trying a new thing to add more photos for you to see. Maybe it attracts more of you to get this channel started. But yeah, let's go jump into this. And I prioritized number 1 as the first issue and number 10 as the last issue. So language skill is basically the most common, I think, way of failing something. So the thing is that, as you can see from the photo, these kind of languages are very important to speak in the world. Maybe not the Swedish that much, but other than that, it's basically all there. The most important ones, I think. Portuguese should be replacing Swedish, but anyways, you get the point. The thing is that in these countries, in big countries, they might call you before in the language that they think that you need to know. So there might be some case, for example, that you are, I don't know, in the UK, and it deals with French client base or something. They might give you a call with your phone, in French. So they are asking like "oui" or something like that instead of like "hello," and you might get shocked because you don't know if it's a scam attempt or not or something like that. But it's their way of sorting out those people that actually know the language and those that actually don't. And it's very common practice to show it. And obviously, like when you go from England to France, which is pretty close by, they don't want you to speak English there, they want you to speak French there, because they're a big country. Their language has basically historically developed for years and years, thousands of years. So that's why they are preferring to do business in their own language, and same with basically any other country, unless it's a really small country. Maybe even in the small countries it's common practice to first know the local language and then we can see what we're going to do next. So yeah, that's why many people are taking the trainings when they relocate or something, taking some classes in these languages, and languages are the base of basically everything. They are not really checking your mathematical skills in the first hand, they are going to check your language in the first hand. And that's why I put it as the top priority, that many companies are actually discriminated through that. So discriminating their employees in a way that they basically how you say it, are going to tell you that hey, you don't speak this language, we don't want to hire you. Or maybe they are not going to tell it, but they are thinking about it. If they have a choice between somebody that speaks French in France and somebody that doesn't speak French, unless there's a huge job experience through the other guy, behind the other guy, then they're going to take this French speaking people in the first hand. And if they don't have any other opportunity, then they might go turn to English. And yeah, so the closed systems is also something that is very common in the big companies, that for years and hundreds of years, maybe decades, it's has been operating, the company has been operating like this, and they don't really want to change their way because it's working. You don't need to demolish something if it's working and it's earning you a profit. So that's why some big companies have become this kind of like closed systems. of course, like a lot of political influence to this is also happening because of the European Union and the wars and stuff. But uh, in general, I'm pretty sure that in France or in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, you can find those very close systems that you kind of cannot get in because they need you to speak their language, and the physical workers there also speak this same language. They are not hiring anybody that doesn't speak their language uh, because it will not be a fit to their team. Uh, and another thing about those closed systems, it can be influenced from the neighboring countries. So, for example, like I'm always bringing out Germany, you can have a lot of like Polish or it doesn't need to be like neighboring country. It needs to be some country that there's a lot of migrants coming to your country. It can be also Turkey for Germany. That I know that in Germany there's a lot of Turkish people and there's a lot of Polish people, and they have left their own culture from their countries as well in Germany. So it kind of like is a mix of all this, and it's very difficult to change the system because there is already a lot of cultural influence done there. So it's and also another example like Russia we haven't mentioned at all. Uh, so post-Soviet countries like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all those, even Poland and East Germany, Czech Republic, Romania, all those, Ukraine, and Moldova also. There's a lot of influence from Soviet era, and that means that some industries and are operating still with kind of like Soviet way. What was working then should work now, but it's actually not working that well. And in this industry, to get basically how company becomes profitable is that you need cheap labor, and cheap labor in the post-Soviet countries is usually Russians, because they are willing to ask you lower salary in order to get work, instead of like, I mean, in the Baltics and in Ukraine, I mean, there has been a lot of Russians living there, so they have a lot of Russians in this kind of industries, and that affects all the industry and means that maybe you have to speak this language that this industry is demanding you to speak. So I mean, obviously, when you're living in Germany and you are dealing with some employees with from Poland and Turkey, then you can basically, also you prefer those that actually speak Polish and speak Turkish instead of those that only speak German that everybody might not even understand. So that's just like these examples of this kind of language things. I don't want to discriminate anybody or discriminate the system, but that's how it is, and that's why I'm bringing it on the table, because that's how the business works in the real life. And if you don't believe it, you can go and check those companies in this where there is a lot of like foreign workers, cheap labor that are brought in. It's modern slavery, and you will see it happening in a big scale sometimes in some companies. Okay, and then point number 2 is relocation. Why is this very important? Is that companies usually want you to be in the office. That's what I've said before. Of course, there's like digital nomading. I know about this, but the thing is that usually the companies want you to be there, and even if you're not there, they want you to be there like, I don't know, half a year or something like that, and that will be a conflict between you and the company if you're not willing to relocate. to this country that the company having an office in, or maybe they have office abroad, then it shouldn't be that much of an issue. You can go to their main country from time to time, but if they don't have an office there, then it might be a problem. And if they have main office also, that they need you to be in the main office because the rest of the team is there, then they will want you to be there also. And also with residence permit and citizenship is usually in EU it doesn't matter too much because we can go from Poland to France with no problems, basically live there without anybody asking questions, or even to Portugal to live there for some time, and nobody's really going to ask you any questions. You will need to do some legislation procedures, I think, to get this kind of codes, ID codes or something like that. So because usually this is what will be used to identify you, and you will need to have that, and it will be okay. But once you already have it, then I don't think that you will really need to do much in the EU countries, actually, when you go from the country to country. However, it's not involving all the Schengen area, because Schengen area is wider than EU, and there's, I don't know, sorry Greek guys, but there is North Macedonia exists, actually a country, and if you're coming from there to some other country, for example, you will need to do you are identified as you are coming from the third world country, and this EU passport is much more powerful. They will prefer somebody from the EU, or if you're from the third world country, you will need to have a residence permit that is valid for some time, and citizenship, and a plan for this, because otherwise they will have to sponsor you to come there, and that takes too much time and effort. And they're basically, choking you because of this. They are blocking your travels because you want to relocate when you are sure about the company. For example, me from the EU country, I'm not going to fly to US just because. I'm going to fly there only if I would have a definite job, 100% job there already, or a sponsorship, because EU citizens doesn't get there that easily usually, or to Canada, for example, because it's across the ocean. It is not applied EU rules. But for example, if I want to go to UK, I will be having not so many problems most of the time for this. Sponsoring takes, as an employer perspective, it takes very much time because you will have to hire some guys that actually know, if you're coming from this country, what you need to do and which kind of documents you need to apply for in order to work for this company. And usually the employer, CEO, or employer in general doesn't know those things unless it's a big company and they have had the experience of hiring before. So they are saying, we're not discriminating by the race or anything, but actually this is one way that they are actually discriminating you. And when you say that you are not willing to relocate, for example, then it will be a problem for them, I think. If you don't agree, you can always argue against me, but number two, I put it because usually those sponsoring things are also asked in the application processes. So for example, if I would apply to some kind of job through the homepage, they are asking if you need a sponsorship to get this job. And if you answer yes, they might put you to the pile on the left instead of pile on the right, as we did the Tinder example before, right? So this is what happens in the real life, and that's one of the most common questions asked: is your salary expectation and sponsorship. Actually, speaking of salary expectation, I didn't put it in this video, but it should be probably the first thing, because if you are expecting too much salary, of course you're not going to get hired, because you are expecting too much. Because why would they ever bother to negotiate with you if the range is completely different from what they are expecting you to receive? Then they are not going to even bother with this. So yeah, salary should be even on top of the list, but if I put salary there, I would have no other things to mention much, because salary is most of the thing. It's basically what makes you to do this work, and that's very important. Yeah, I'm going to. Okay, so we're still recording. I think I was doing a little pause to open the light in the room. Yeah, so let's go for the work experience. That's number 3. Usually it is that companies prefer somebody that is the most qualified for the job, because they get adapted there very, very fast. They will have some expertise to bring on the table, and they will be in general doing the right things, and not a big cost for the company, because they know what to expect, when to expect, and how to get things done in the right way. So yeah, work experience very important, and that's what happens sometimes. Is when you apply to some job, there might be some other candidates that meet the requirements more than you, obviously, because if you're one of 200, there might be like top 10 that actually meet all the requirements that they have posted, and in this top 10, what makes you the better candidate than the other 9? So yeah, I think it's a very valid point, and some of the people have done the same job for like 10 years or so, and it's magnificent, for them, if it's the same industry, of course. And just they meet with the work experience there, it's closer match than with your work experience sometimes. Because how it works, how the job recruitment works, is that they always narrow it down. They narrow down those 200 plus CVs that they got. Let's say that they got 500 for this position right now, because job market in today's world is crazy. And they got 500 CVs. They are going to narrow it down to 1 or maybe to 5 to call for the interview and for the next round. Or if they're having 3 rounds, they might be narrowing down to 10. That means that 490 applicants are already out, and the probability with the math says that it's very high probability that you are one of them, and there will be some candidates that will be better, having better requirements, especially for these interesting positions. And if people know that it's going to be a good job, it's going to be a good job, and they're going to candidate for it, even those that already have a job. And you will have to compete against each and one of them, and it will be very difficult. So yeah, I think it will be like this, that other candidates is very likely to have better requirements than you have, better work experience, sorry. And also, lack of experience in the field is another thing, that sometimes your work experience in the field is not enough. Let's say that this Kiras Mira that we brought out as electrical engineer, she was going to apply, and her experience in the field was basically just a customer service for like 3 months. That's usually not enough to be like a full electrical engineer after that. I mean, sometimes it is for some companies that appreciate those people that are young and very motivated to do the job, but usually it's not. And this is because you need to know about the field, and I mean, nobody wants to be the first, you know. It's more like, I mean, if anybody has already, you know, made sure that you were doing well there, then I guess we can hire you. It's very weird logic, and it's also, if I bring like I don't think it's something to do with the subconscious, but sometimes it is, and sometimes it is that you know, nobody wants to, you know, risk with you, take the risk of having you there, uh, because they will not be taking a risk if you already know about this field, if you have already worked in there as this position. They will not take a big risk with you. But if they are going to hire you as the first basically company, then they are going to take a risk that you might not be familiar with the field, or you might be taking too long time to learn it. And actually, I don't agree with them usually, because I think nowadays kind of every job is basically learnable in the matter of months. Maximum, yeah, like maybe maximum would be a year for the rocket science, but I don't know about like regular office work, like even electrical engineer should be already kind of qualified after 4 months, in my opinion. So I don't think the lack of experience, of course they wasted like 4 months, but at the same time they won with the costs sometimes, because they pay less to this person, or if Kira is asking like the same salary as the others, then of course that's where it comes to play, this work experience. And lack of work experience in general is my last point here. That means that you know, you haven't worked anywhere. You're coming straight from the school. It's even a bigger risk for them than this one. I mean, lack of in the field sometimes is okay, because maybe you work for a field that was connected to this field. So lack of experience in general is that you come fresh out of school or university, and you know, you don't know how the processes work, how this life of the industry works, how the work life in general works, physical work life, office work life, how they are connected, what makes a company. You might have heard the theory of it, but usually in the theory part, I don't really see how people tackle challenges, you know, and this becomes a problem, because tackling the challenges is usually what you do from day to day at work, and if you don't tackle them at school already, then it will be a big problem. If you're just like learning the theory and theory by heart, but not seeing anything in practice, how it works, then it doesn't really help you that much. And that's why they don't want to risk it. It's too easy to go and continue your study path, but very difficult to, you know, get into the first good door that opens you the other doors. So yeah, once you have had those very good door experience, then I think other doors opening you would be more likely as well. And number 4, you can debate maybe it's even, you know, more of a priority for the employer, but I usually think that you know, those first 2 points were actually, while they are already checking your CVs, this family life comes out later when you're having a job interview, and also this work experience was in the CV. So family life is the most important factor in the job interview. And now, why is it important? Of course, everybody is going to say that, oh, no, we are not discriminating anybody, we're equal to everybody, and you know, we never discriminate anybody because they have big family or kids or something like that. But actually, Like the reality here, guys, sorry to say, but it's completely different. And even if they don't say it, they think about it. And you cannot really read other people's minds the way that they think. So, uh, of course, I can also say that, I mean, I don't mind if you don't have kids yet or something like that. If or if you have kids, and I will still take you as the same person or something like that. But I mean, that's not usually when I would be an employer. I would also check this part, I guess. Not all the time, but I would actually be, you know, more in on the same page with this person, because if they're hiding their family life, it will be a problem. The thing is that if you're hiding something, then I'm not going to trust you as an employer. And if you are open with it, then it will be fine as long as you get the job done as well. Because me as an employer, I care about the profit. I care about my workers getting the job done in order to get profit. I don't care if you have kids or not, but usually with the kids, it comes also that you will have to dedicate some time to them. Because, for example, what you need to do with the kids, he or she will get sick very often. You will need to be home with them and work remotely. And this means that if you're having a very small baby, you cannot put them, in the other room just to sleep all the time, because they are waking up random times. They are, I have also a small baby, so I know what I'm talking about here. Don't judge me because I don't know anything about babies. I know about babies. They they sleep, of course, like a lot of times, but at some points, at random times, they are waking up and they are going to call you, because you will need to deal with them immediately. When they are hungry, you cannot leave them hungry, of course. When they need you to change their diaper, you have to change their diaper. I mean, all those things that you might even not consider, or if they are exploring, if they are already walking and crawling, it's they are going to discover all those things that you have to keep them away from. So they are going to discover electrical outlets, for example. And how are you going to be a good parent if you're not taking them off from there? Uh, and that means that when you're home with your kids, uh, your work time reduces, because you are going to start the workday and end the workday at the same time. But you are not going to, you know, give any time to the kid if you go to the office. So that's how it works in the real life. And the employers, they know it. They are usually parents as well, they know how it works. And especially if you have like 3 kids, for example, 3+ kids. I mean, each and one of them needs an attention, and you will need to deal with them at a random times. Imagine that you are in the middle of the meeting and you have to go because your kid is like crying or something, or hurt himself. Of course you will have to run. So yeah, some employers are totally okay with it, especially those that understand about it. But they are going to discriminate you even if you don't have kids yet. They might judge you because I think in my country, for example, they are estimating people based on that. Oh, you are in this age that you're going to have kids, and whether you're a woman or man. I mean, men are usually like the standard model, family model. They are dealing with the kids less, but not all the time. Sometimes, men is the stay-at-home dad, and the woman is kind of like working, but that doesn't usually happen, does it? Because the men cannot really they can kind of give the kid the warmth as well as the mom, and but in case you're breastfeeding your kids, then I don't think you can be a stay-at-home dad. So that needs to be with the formula. Then maybe only if you give formula to your baby, maybe then. But then baby has health problems and stuff like that. So no matter what, they are going to discriminate, and beforehand they are going to discriminate the women in this. That, for example, they are going to see that, oh, this woman is like 30 years old and didn't have any kids yet. She will have kids. She's like ticking time bomb or something like that, and that's very very bad. That's the way that they judge you. But of course they are not going to say it out loud, but they might be judging you. And of course, another thing is that if you are like stay-at-home mom for I don't know how long is this, you have to stay at home, but usually like it's around like 1 to 3 years in general. So it depends on a country, but anyways, if you are this stay-at-home mom and you're saying to the employer that, hey, I have kids and I need to take care of my kids sometimes, can I work remotely most of the time, then you're making this kind of like demand to the company that they might not like, and then they will like the other candidates more that have more time than you have. That's the biggest issue, because time for them is also the resource, and baby doesn't choose time and kids doesn't choose time. Usually they are like they do the things when they do it. Of course, when they're already like in the kindergarten or school, it might be different, because all day they will spend in the kindergarten, or all day they are going to spend in the school, or half of the day in the school, and then you come home and they are independent, more independent. In this case, I think it can work out pretty well, but if you have small kids, then that will be an issue. And another thing is that if you have only one kid, they might think that maybe you want more. So that's another thing to this. They are not going to ask you directly about your family life, but it would be fair to mention it sometimes, especially when you have, somebody that you need to take care of. That's very important. So yeah, another thing is too big by family. Sometimes I know that some people have like 10 sisters and brothers, going to the weddings or funerals all the time with their uncles and aunts and like aunts and grand uncles and grandmas, grandpas, everybody like also weddings. All of your siblings get married. If they get married, of course, you never know in today's world. But too big of a family means that you will need to take day offs, because I'm not really sure if you can arrange all the weddings, for example, to the weekend or funeral. Also, there might be not any available slots for this. So that's one of the more things that I wanted to mention here. And then the fourth one is the remote family. Now, if your employer says that you need to be in the main office to work with the team that you have in this office, then you will need to relocate. And especially it will become difficult, because if you have like a husband or a wife in the country that you are relocating from, and they don't want to come with you there because they have a job in their own country, then it will be an issue for the employer, because they will see that, I don't know, this guy is not really willing to relocate because his wife is like, on the other side of the world, and that will be an issue, because first you miss your family. You have a remote family, that means that you're going to visit them from time to time, even in Christmas time. That might be the most busy time for the company sometimes. Of course, it's not for every company, but I mean, you get the point. And there might be coming, a lot of unexpected stuff, like I was mentioning before. If you have too big of a family, if you have too big of a family in like India, for example, you come from India, and there is a funeral for somebody, and you need to fly there. I mean, it will be a lot of cost for you. You are stressed out. Your employer is like, trying to stress you out as well, that why is the job not done, why are the things all like bundling up and not being solved and so on. But in the end, you just visited your family, you wanted to pay some respects for the passed away relatives. So yeah, that's a very big issue in the today's world also. Oh, I just realized actually it's isn't it Ukrainian flag here? Blue and yellow. Okay, Slava Ukraini. Anyways, yeah. Number 5 is age. So near retirement age is also something that maybe they want somebody that works for a long time there in their company, so they cannot really hire somebody that, even if they have huge expertise, they will have to ask this question that when are you going to retire, or like when are you planning to retire, or stuff like this, because they might have this guy only for like half a year or a year or so, but they want him for like 5 years. Another second thing is too young. Now, this one is kind of the thing that pisses people off. It kind of gets everybody, heated up, because too young to mention that, it's not appropriate. I mean, in the relationships, in the job relationships, it's not very appropriate thing. There are some people that are more mature than the others, and there are some people that are, still an infant while they're like 40 years old. So yeah, it's kind of depends on a person actually most of the time, but employer can see it as an excuse for them, because I mean, they are going to see that what is the highest probability for you, and if you are actually talking something smart, or you're actually lying and stuff, and acting like a child. So yeah, and some positions, like for example, even if you are like president in a country, then you cannot really be, too young for this. You have to be certain age to be a president, and this matters because, and also matters for the employer, since usually the young people are not as good in managing other people, and this happens because it would be difficult for others to respect them, in a way that, the mature people, when they are like 40 years old, for example, they are respected because they usually have more job experience, and know what they're talking about. Another thing is that they will have a voice that is being heard more than your voice when you're too young. Because when you're too young, you might do some unreasonable demands, but it depends on a person again. Some people are born to be managers, or born to be businessmen, and whenever you start your own business, it will be difficult for you to get the others' respect. You have to prove yourself first. But some guy like, I don't know, with a very low pitch, or somebody like older, I think is listened more and stuff like this. So yeah, that's another thing. And number 3 is obsolete. Now, there is something that if you're like working in one place for like 20 years straight, then you might not find this job interesting anymore. If it's too much of a routine for you, you're not thinking anymore, you are not willing to do any changes because you have always done it. You have always, worked from time to time and get your salary, but you are not caring about, the other topics that are like, how to chase the profit. Because you don't care about profit, you just care about your own salary, you don't care about the company anymore. So if you're becoming obsolete, that's with the working time. Uh, in Yeah. So if you have worked there for like 20 plus years or so, if you have this job experience for a long time, then it might be becoming you might be becoming obsolete for the company, and they might replace you with somebody that is more motivated with the mission of the company. So yeah, and there is a photo. I think probably you can start working when you are here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and you are already retiring on 4. So 1, 2, 3, and the rest is the kids or maybe teenager. I don't know. Maybe as a teenager you can find a job as well. Okay. And now you have too many demands. That's a very nice photo here. I like it. It's because as for the company, it kind of comes down to your boss most of the time, because if your boss has built a great team, you will enjoy being in this team. If your boss is not interfering with your business, you feel great there. If your boss allows you to do different kind of things, you will also feel great there, and so on. Sometimes there might be too many demands coming from you. Like the first example again, I have the home office or the remote work. I know that some of you say that, oh, I work better in the home office. I know this. It's depends on the person, and in the home office there's pros as well, because you can focus better, and you actually can get more stuff done. But at the same time, as I was mentioning kids before, it would be difficult to display yourself in the office. Of course, if your kids are already independent, if you are like 50 years old and you don't care about these things anymore, then yeah, you can work from the home office as well, more frequently, and stuff like this. And yeah, so we can debate about this topic for hours. It has its benefits, it has its cons also. So there's both there, and I kind of sometimes think that even those people that say that they work better in the home office are kind of lying just to get there, because even when I was not having a baby, like I was alone in the home office, I was still like cooking. Of course, I didn't walk to the office or something like that. I didn't drive to the office, but I was cooking, stuff like that, watching some entertainment on my breaks, and what I would never do in the office, because if I would do it in the office, then they would already see what I was doing in my computer. So yeah, it's not really. There is a lot of things. You can even go walk with your dog, get the households done, all those things, but it again takes some time, and of course there's people that taking this time back later, like working for later hours, and that's fair, but there are some people that are not doing that get the same salary, and they say that no, I'm not going to work more because I'm in the home office. The home office should be a little rest for me. There is different kind of people, and yeah, this debate can last for a very long time. And I think it both has its pros and cons. And I think the best way is the hybrid way, that sometimes in the office, sometimes at remote work. So half of the week and half of the week would be fair. And then you're demanding better working tools. I mean, that's very fair, because sometimes for for certain jobs you will need those safety tools. I mean, if you're an electrical engineer, you might as well get some, uh, this kind of electrical proof gear that you're going to the field with. And that would be very important, because without it you will get shocked and you might die or get severely injured. So it's good to demand the working tools, of course, but then again, the employer, especially when you're in your probation period, can see it as something that you should demand the minimum stuff, so they don't have to pay for you too much, because maybe they have, like a idea of firing you after the probation period, or not extend your probation period. And yeah, I mean, then why would they ever bother you to get the gear? You can debate that, the other guy can use the same gear, but we're not the same size as people usually, or different size also. Like some of the guys wearing like XL shirts and the other guys wear L and stuff like that. It's very common. So yeah, the thing here is that I think it's fair to demand those that you will definitely need. If you are like working on electricity, then you will need the safety gear to save your life, because your life is more precious than this job, and you have to of course demand those things. However, as we get to the like better working tools, here is this fact that I mean, for example, if you have like Windows computer and you are not used to use the Windows computer, you're only used with the MacBook and iPhone and stuff like that, and if you're demanding them from the company, it will be an issue, because maybe they don't have enough money to buy those things for you, and especially in your first months. And extra screen and extra like, I don't know, 5 screens and stuff like that, 2 screens, there might be plenty of stuff that you can demand. And clothes, also you demand, like, oh, I want to have a sweater also, and stuff like this. More benefits, you are demanding, like, oh, we don't have any benefits actually, kind of like kitchen is boring, and there's nothing that I could eat or stuff like that. There should be something, at least for me, to feel better about the office, and etc. There might be a lot of things about this. Yeah. Okay, I will make a pause here. Okay, let's continue here. The thing is that I pointed out those things that are once you're already working there, but sometimes they are going to test you out with the probation period. That's why I was like pointing those things out as well. And there also might be think of more benefits. That's in the job interview already, and this means that you are like demanding some kind of like driving compensation. For example, your transport compensation, that you are going to office every day, then you need to have your train ticket paid for and stuff like this. I mean, for this, usually, in the job interview, the boss isn't like this, but he might think like this. So yeah, it can be very influential for them that you have those demands. And once you see that once you say, for example, the wrong things, home office, remote work already comes into the topic in the job interview. More benefits and benefits in general comes to the topic in a job interview. Now, clothes and better working tools, this should be not even mentioned in the job interview, but in case like you don't know, and they have like Windows computers there, and you say, hey, why you guys have Windows computer, why you don't have MacBooks, then they will get really offended by these questions. Don't be rude to them. Okay, so personality traits. Now, I pointed out very common weaknesses that people might have, and this is what you will usually, answer when they ask about your weaknesses, because sometimes they're going to ask about your biggest weakness in the job interview. It's a very common question as well. And the first thing that you can mention is actually the language skill, because you don't need to lie about your language skills in general in the CV, like I mentioned before. So if you have like I don't know, like you speak like weak French and good German and good English, then mention that you speak English and German good, but you're still learning French. You're making effort to make it better. Maybe you're listening to some French podcasts or something like that in everyday life, and this will become as a positive side. You can show it the positive light to it, to your weakness, because you can mention that your biggest weakness might be French language, and it will be fair to mention. But you're listening to the podcasts or like watching Netflix shows in French and learning through that every day or every evening or something like that when you have free time, and that's actually showing the employer that actually you're making some progress with this, and we even might hire you, because if it's only in your CV, this language skill, like you say that, oh, I have a like weak French, or I have like A1 or A2 skill in French, that doesn't show them too much how is your actual level. But if you say a sentence like this, they can already check on you, and it will be good in both sides. But can be also that you're failing because the language skill needs an improvement. Because some of these language skills, like when you go work in a French company, speaking with French people every day, then in French, or listening to the French meetings, then they will need you to speak French already, not to learn about it, and it might be one of the deal breakers for them. It's a very common topic also that needs to be highlighted here. Number 2 is lack of motivation. Now, it's not usually said that, oh, I lack motivation, that's my biggest weakness, but it's usually said that I don't really like to work in the routine jobs, and I like some, this kind of always different kind of tasks and stuff like this. Then at some point it shows the lack of motivation, because there are a lot of routine jobs in the world, and that shows that you can work there for like, I don't know, 6 months, and then you might quit because you lack the motivation of doing this routine job. This is not very good to mention in the job interview in general, but that's one of the deal breakers as well. I think it's lack of motivation from somebody. If they can already see that you're not going to work there for a long time, but they want you to work there for a long time, since they don't really want to waste their time of recruiting all the time. Imagine you have 500 plus CVs all the time. You want to pick out a candidate or this person that's going to stay there for a long time, because you made so much effort to narrow it down even further, and so that's how it usually works. And third thing, one of the weaknesses is that workload too high for you. This means that maybe in the job post you saw that there's a lot of stuff that you need to be responsible for, and you are not sure if it's too big of a workload. It might be a deal breaker if you cannot handle a huge workload for yourself, I mean. And also, when you mention about previous places, never mention about the workload. That was the main thing that I also couldn't mention at my job life. that if I had too much of a workload in the previous place and that was the deal breaker for me and that's why I quit, then if I would mention stuff like this, it would be obvious for them that, dude, you are not qualified. And yeah, it's if you mention this by accident, or you see that you're asking a question about that, oh, I see that this responsibility and that responsibility, but how is the workload in general here? Then it shows that you kind of don't want to have huge workload. And usually the companies have huge workload, otherwise they wouldn't make profit. If they don't have huge workload, then they probably don't make profit. And that's why it is important to stay kind of away from this topic. Be careful about highlighting this weakness, because I think most of the companies have high workloads. And even though I personally can very much do and handle the high workloads in my work, even I was like at breaking point at some point. So yeah, it can be even for the best, or those that can handle those as well. Yeah, and the fourth thing not to mention as a weakness is your tough past. I mean, some people live in their past. They are like, oh, I was like, abused by my dad and stuff like this. Yeah, okay, it's very, very sad and it's very, very bad. And we all actually feel for you. It's very, tough past is tough past, and it's very, very valid that you came out from this, and respect to you. However, you shouldn't be mentioning this also, because you should have a solution-based mindset. If you live in your past, this pops up all the time in your work, and when you don't get something done, you blame it on your past and stuff like this. This is not very valid point, especially in the work life. They maybe have hired you because they didn't care too much about your tough past, but the good employer knows that if you have tough past, it might be, difficult to handle you, because it might be that you are like abused by your dad, and then you are using a lot of slangs and stuff like this, and swear words might not be good to say that all the time, to get angry about stuff that reminds you of your tough past, or get provoked by somebody for no reason when they actually didn't want to even provoke you. They just wanted to talk with you. It would be a problem, and especially when you're in a team. I mean, in a team, they need a solution-based mindset. Imagine this: if you have 5 people in a team working on some kind of like, some kind of teamwork, doing it by documents, not by physical stuff. Of course, like those people that have had tough past is usually very good at physical aspects of the job. However, if you're dealing with documentation and you're having like this electrical industry again, if you're having some documents there like the laws and stuff, and you have to handle this and you need to share this through your team, you will have to, not be talking about your past there. You will have to talk about the work. So you cannot say that, oh, I had tough past, don't give me too many documents to read. That doesn't work like this. And the employer will see it. So yeah, it's not good to live in this. I think if you have had tough past, you should definitely work on this. Not to bring it up all over again all the time. Because like people have their own problems as well. Of course, they don't have as huge problems as you did, because the tough past is, as I said, it's tough past. It's one of the worst things that can happen to you. But the people doesn't want to hear about negative things, and especially when it's about the tough past, and you're searching for somebody's sorry instead of or you're just bringing it up to get somebody sorry, but you are saying that, oh, I don't want you to be sorry for me or something like this. It's very tricky situation, and it doesn't belong to the work life. Because this is the present, this is the future that you build with this company. Don't bring it up like ever in your personal life. If it matters to you, yes, bring it up all the time and live like this, but don't bring it up in the work life. Then rudeness and aggression is in the similar topic. I mean, if you're kind of rude to the employer, that I don't know, you're offending them in a way that they actually feel offended, and you're not offering any solutions, and or you're not seeing anything positive, and you're just saying that, oh, what kind of circus did I get into, or something like this. Even if you're doing some banter or some dark humor, you know, it might be offending to them in the work level, unless they really like banter and they really like the dark humor. It might be working sometimes, but rudeness is not usually good, and especially you cannot speak with the clients like this. If you are rude to your clients, I mean, there will be no big party for you in this company anymore. And same with aggression, that you cannot be aggressive towards the client unless you're a salesman and you really need to get this sales done or something like that. Then I think the aggression kind of works out. This the kind of like the only good way to do these things. And of course, sometimes when there's jobs that is, you know, there's a lot of these guys that are coming from difficult pasts and stuff like this, and they respect only kind of the similar guy, then you can be aggressive towards them so they could respect you and see that they actually need this duties to be done. So it has actually its points that is good, the aggression, but you have to use it well and reasonably, because you cannot just go and be aggressive towards everybody. Not towards usually your colleagues that you have to be nice to, and towards the clients. Yeah. And then poor adaptability with changes or not liking it. Yeah, so now this weakness is also sometimes can backfire very badly, because if you have you know, constant changes in your work, and you're switching jobs, you are going for the next place and hoping that there's not so many changes, you might be very disappointed, because nowadays I think everybody is how it works nowadays is that we have rich people and we have poor people. There is no middle class. So rich people do changes, poor people don't do changes. And how do the rich people get rich? They do the changes and convince those poor people to do the changes with them in the company. So yeah, and they have hired a lot of other rich people that have you know, also making some smart analysis or some you know, schemes or about different aspects of the company, like the safety, all those kind of like workloads, timetables, all those things. They doing those schemes and showing with the presentations that what we are working on, what we should achieve, and so on. Achievements, goals, visions. I mean, there's plenty of people hired for these kind of reasons. And it looks pretty bad, because there's more people that are hired for these reasons than actually those people that get the job done, those physical workers. And that's where the conflict begins. And if you don't like changes, you are going against the company. Of course, it might be the righteous thing to do, not going with the changes, because the core workers usually, they don't want changes because they are doing their job well and they cannot keep the job be done well when there's always change and after change and they cannot adapt with them. It would be very difficult to adapt. So if you say that, oh, I didn't like in my last company that there was a lot of changes, then in this new company they would say to you that, oh, do you think that here is better? Because every company wants to be improving their processes. They know all these kind of smart people that are giving lectures for them and trainings for them. They have heard all of them, and they know that big companies, they know how that they always need to be changing their stuff to be profitable, especially when we have issues in the world like wars and COVID and etc. and recession. So I mean, it's some weakness that shouldn't be highlighted. Also, you shouldn't be mentioning it in the job interview. But if they ask about your weaknesses, then yeah, I think the best way to say it is some kind of language that is on a weak level, and show it that you are working towards it to repair it. Because if they say that, oh, it is your highest weakness, okay, you're hired, then you haven't mentioned all these and you have shown yourself in a good light. So yeah, I think that would be working out pretty well. And then questions they ask from you, like specialized questions about the industry, might be this, what's something that has teeth but cannot chew, But anyways, no, it's some kind of questions with tricky answers, because they kind of want to sort out those that actually know about the industry and have worked in similar positions, even if they say things like they have in their CV or they know about the language. They will ask about the industry, some topics that you might have to know, because if you don't know anything, then it doesn't really show you in a good light. Or if you get into trouble with some answers and then somebody else is answering them correctly, then obviously they're going to choose the other guy. And yeah, so here sometimes the lies come out also. For example, about your language skills, that's the easiest thing to lie about in your CVs. Say that, oh, I know like Portuguese and French and German all in the weak level, but actually all you know is like hi and bye. It's it might be coming out like this. So yeah, I think a specialized question about the industry, of course you cannot prepare many of them, but you can focus in some kind of point and make them to feel impressed by you. So yeah, and obviously if you know about the answers, then answer them correctly, don't lie. That's the worst thing that you can do, is to lie about something. And then the questions from you were bad. Sometimes it happens that they are going to ask you that, do you have any questions for us? And you will have to have always a question ready and write down their answer. So if they're going to reply to a question and they see you writing in your notebook or in your computer, it will be a good sign about you. You are actually curious about the topic. Very, very good. I also mentioned it in the other video. And show wisdom and knowledge. This is another good topic that basically you have to act very smart in the job interview to get into the work. First of all, to the test period, to the probation period, and then after that you can be who you want to be. But before that, show them some that you are smart. This is like the best way to do it. And yeah, if they are going to ask you like if you want a coffee or I don't know, it's raining, take an umbrella. I mean, kind of like smart people take an umbrella. It's even a smallest gesture from you. They're going to watch every move that you're making if you're having this interview. So yeah, if you get in trouble with some of the questions and the other guys don't get in trouble with any of the questions, then they're going to pick the other guy most of the time. So yeah, I have a question ready, and not only a question, it's better if you have many of them. And once you have read their materials, like for example, like the home page, you had questions about that, write them down. And yeah, number 10 is the computer skills, believe it or not. Sometimes it's very important that there is a person with the typing speed. You know, if you're like with the one finger and the other finger typing like that, with 2 fingers only, like some of the people do, because they haven't really adapted with the computer yet, or writing very slowly, not getting stuff done very fast, then they're going to say to you in the probation period that, oh, pack your things and go. But yeah, computer skills is usually also in your CV or in LinkedIn. It's like there. So searching skills also, that you know how to find stuff. You know how to find the laws that regulate the electrical industry. You know how to watch YouTube about those machines that work there. Very, very important. Always fulfill yourself, learn some more things. Microsoft Office, Google Sheets, obviously, this is nowadays basic to know about. If you don't know about these, you will have to take some courses, I think, or ask somebody to teach you about this, because that's where the most of the money lies nowadays, and everybody will understand Microsoft Office or Google Sheets. So once somebody represents something, they can represent it through these programs. And of course, in the IT sector, it needs some programming language, sometimes the knowledge about it, and AI usage nowadays becomes more of a thing. But mostly in the future, I think those programming languages and AI usages in the long term, for watching the future. And yeah, I think that's kind of it for this video, actually, because I was actually, not really so happy about it, like as my cover letter, because some of these things are very debatable, but these are the 10 reasons from my personal experience. So I kind of hope that you find them useful. And the thing that also I'm doing right now is I'm making a second video in basically 2 days in a row, because today I felt like I wanted to make another video, and I had this topic in my mind all the time. So here it is, and I hope that you succeed in your job search, in your interviews, in the probation periods, and then we'll see. Until the next time, and see you guys around.